Parties meant only one thing: full bins. And royal parties meant only one thing: full royal bins. The royal black bags and golden wheelie bins would be full to bursting with popcorn, sweet delights, and biscuits. Not to mention half-eaten marshmallows and sticky meringue crumbs. There was even a rumour that there were the biscuits with the jam in the middle. My favourites.
Those park pigeons know all the bins to visit for the best treats,
Dave squawked excitedly. OK, so you know how I said on page 2 that Dave's plan would be cat-brained? It turns out that once in a while he does have a pigeon-tastic idea, and this was it.
Hey, sometimes I have a pigeon-tastic idea twice in a while.
He really doesn't. We were going to the human palace. I couldn't wait. I remembered tales of the human palace my granny told Dave and me when we were just tiny squabs. She spoke of gold-plated iron gates, where the bars were perfectly placed and perfectly sized for a pigeon to squeeze through. She'd heard of a huge fountain outside, where pigeons could bathe and drink water, and when she spoke of the glorious mall, made for pigeons to run free and fly, her head would tilt to the side, and her eyes would get misty as she imagined herself gliding down towards the palace, the wind in her wings.
Your granny never glided anywhere. She mainly farted, Skipper.
Dave! I was setting a lovely scene there.
It's true, though. When I think of Granny, I think of farts. She really was a champion farter.
Do you remember when she actually won the pigeon farting championships?
I remember. She almost blew a branch off a tree.
There was no time to waste. Gourmet snacks were on offer, and my feathers were all a-jitter with excitement for my first trip to the human palace. Quick, Dave, I cried. Let's get your prosthetic wing on.
There's no time,
Dave said, already halfway to the shed door.
It's so fiddly and we can't let a single other pigeon get to the palace before us.
So we waddled off to the nearest train station and caught the first train to the city centre.
We didn't literally catch a train.
That would be impossible. Can you imagine a pigeon catching a train?
You know what, Skipper? I can. In a big train-catching net.
Where would you get a net that big?
At the train-catching net shop, obviously.
The humans, as always, seemed very amused by pigeons on the train and clicked on their cameras, taking pictures of Dave and me, which Dave happily blew out his chest feathers for. A little human fed me soggy rice cake bits as his mum dozed.
Rice cakes? You had rice cakes and you didn't tell me?
You could have had some, but you were too busy posing.
I can't help it if my fans want pictures of me, Skipper. I have a very important job starring in all these books you keep writing.
As I was saying, a little human fed me soggy rice cake bits as his mum dozed, and it was only after Dave had struck his 1,000,000,000th pose that we finally reached the stop for the Royal Human Palace.
I bet I could be a prince,
Dave said, as we jumped off the train onto the platform.
I've always thought I had the feathers for it.
Why would you want to be a prince? I asked, as we dodged hundreds of human ankles and looked for signs leading to the human palace.
I could lie around all day eating excellent snacks.
I'm not sure that's all they do, I said as we followed a trail of sticky orange popcorn along the pavement. Besides, isn't that what you do anyway?
Skipper, I work very hard.
Dave stopped so suddenly I tripped over his claws and fell beak first into a lamppost.
Dave!
I said, scrambling to my feet and rubbing my bruised beak.
Skipper,
Dave said, not even offering me a wing-up.
You know that pigeon-tastic plan I had to get to the palace before the other pigeons?
Yes. My friend stared straight ahead of us, his eyes wide and his lower beak hanging open. I followed his gaze. We weren't the only ones who had heard about the royal bins. A mammoth crowd of grey feathered bodies and pink claws blocked our way to the golden gates. When I say mammoth, I mean think of a number, times it by a gajillion bazillion, add on an extra wajillion kabillion, -1, and that was how many birds we were looking at.
Where did all these pigeons come from?
Dave shouted as we pushed our way forward, only to be trampled and nudged aside by the colossal swarm of bird bottoms. Isn't that your dad over there? I yelled back over the racket of coos and caws. I pointed my wing at a pigeon shoving his way through the throng of birds.